Greetings, this is the General. I will be speaking on the topic, how will you be spending the remaining time that you have? How will you be spending the remaining time that you have? You see, no one knows exactly how much time you have before the critical incidents or the major critical incidents occur in this country that you're aware of. And I need to say some things very up front. I'm not comfortable, nor is it ethical or responsible, to be putting time dates, specific dates on critical incidents when no one actually knows when they're going to happen. Most of you know there are storms gathering. They have clustered, and the momentum this summer has been very intense at times. You don't know exactly when these are going to happen on a certain date. Therefore, I prefer to keep things moderated, remaining center on as much truth as possible and facts and evidence, rather than start saying on a certain date something's going to happen. Because people don't know. Even when I have been placed in situations at major critical incidents, and you had full access to Intel Command, Intel officers, witnesses, documentation, a vast amount of information, getting it down to specifics as dates sometimes was monumental. If not, it wasn't always possible. And with that analogy, most of the information you get, you have to always remember: hear, see, and sort for yourself. Do your own critical thinking. Be able to discern the bullshit from the facts and what is realistic and what may be too far down on the curve. Some information may be completely off center, bogus, misinformation, lies, manipulation, but sometimes you get information that may be so far down the curve it doesn't actually fit into the components of what you're trying to hear, see, and sort through. Furthermore, when you are trying to discern for yourself, not being led blindly and not believing everything that comes across that you hear or see. Sometimes information you may have to sit on it to see if it develops or not, and you have to learn your own skill level. When do you discard something? When do you retain it to see does it fit in? And when somebody forces something and it's quite clear they're forcing it and it doesn't fit, I discard it. This is not simple. It can become very complicated, and I'm not providing an instructional video on that. That would take weeks if not months, and I'm not going to do it. Therefore, let's look at something that most people can wrap their mind around. You know something and some things are wrong. You see the direction this country's going in. And it's not just we cannot be arrogant as Americans and say this is exclusively our problem. It's not. The world is becoming more unstable, economically, socially, politically. It seems to be unraveling at the seams. And you could surmise for yourself that there seems to be some undertow and underhanded, devious attempts and agenda to help push it over the edge. And therefore, the topic of this video remains: how are you going to spend your remaining time that you have? Out of 300 million Americans, some are going to sit on their asses. Out of 300 Americans, some don't want to hear what you have to say. I watch a lot of videos, and some of you have told me yourself, and I will retain that in confidence, that you have family, relatives, neighbors, co-workers, friends, acquaintances that don't want to wake up. Well, you did the right thing bringing it to their attention, but you can't force people to accept that truth. Some of it scares the living hell out of people. Some of them don't want to hear it, but here's a common thread some people have. If they actually wake up and acknowledge that they're problems, then they're going to have to take self-responsibility to prepare. And some people do not want to take responsibility. Some will. You could spend days bantering back and forth on this. I'm not considered myself a messenger. I will sit down and try to reasonably and calmly discuss evidence, facts, and probabilities, and a threat assessment on some of these topics. And when you reach a point that they do not want to hear it, I've done all I can. But I see the frustration in some of you, where you don't seem, it seems to, you carry that burden with you. You can't take responsibility for 300 million Americans. However, you're doing an honorable concept trying to reach as many as possible. And some of you have a gift for that. Some of you have an outstanding manner to speak to all people. And you do wake them up. And I respect that. But at some point, let's look at this collectively. There's only going to be so many people that wake up. There's only going to be so many people that are willing to take responsibility. And there's only going to be so many people that will rise up to defend when this elite globalists make their move. I've spent the summer fighting remission issues from about June 10th until present. That's happened. That's my burden, and I have to try to kick the illness's ass every day. But at the same time, I force myself daily to go outside in this hot southern heat to deal with the tactical responses. I'm having to learn building skills that I did not possess. And I'm doing this for my family. I'm sure not doing it because I want to go out in grueling heat, sometimes getting close to 100 degrees. And even working through thunderstorms, not lightning storms, but thunder. And knowing the next day could be equal or worse in pain or the task at hand. But I'm satisfied with the meeting the objectives. And I said in the last briefing in June, I think June 19th, that we are beyond, for most people, you're beyond your food, water, shelter, and those basic essentials to sustain life. And your ammunition and guns, hopefully you're squared away with that. Your tactical contingency plans have to be in place. You have to be able to respond to sustainable threats. You have to be able to stand on your own convictions, your own discipline, your own intestinal fortitude, and your own honor and integrity. We're at the point now that it is getting close. I hope it doesn't happen at all. And each month that you have that it does not happen is further along that you can top off your essential supplies. You have another, hopefully, I hope that you have a long, sustainable opportunity to continue to live in freedom and liberty and your preparation. However, if you ignore the tactical response, you're going to increase the risk of becoming a casualty. And I will make some more videos beyond this when I get time now. At some point, they're going to cut one of your best weapons and resources, the internet, off. I'm confident my family can live without the internet now. But when that happens, you're going to be left without your resource, and you're going to be isolated somewhat. You're going to have to operate and function on a daily basis with what you know and what you're trained and what your resources are and your preparation. And I'm going to keep this quite clear. I'm not saying that when and if the internet gets cut off, that hell and destruction will come right with it. It may not. But part of the psyops, the psychological operations, is to isolate. And by isolating, it weakens some units and some individuals. And one of the biggest threats towards these evil elitists are the information. Your information, the information you share, the information you gain and apply. I'm going to have to stop this video and start part 2.